Any COVID update that you can provide?
No, same as what where we were yesterday with the two players under COVID protocol.
What's the importance of limiting guys as soon as you get that word, and how wary of it all are you as guys gather in your dressing room?
I think we're all concerned. First of all, I think we're concerned for everybody's health. And then the second part of that is from a competitive standpoint, we'd like to minimize the number of players lost, and it's not easy. This is obviously an extremely contagious virus. That's why the world's in the position that we're in, and we're trying to work through that within the NHL and within our hockey team. And so, we want to do everything we can from a precautionary standpoint to minimize the contact with others, so that we don't, number one, spread the virus, and number two, so that we don't have guys sitting out for close contact in terms of the contact tracing. And so those are things that, we're continuing to be vigilant with, but it's not simple. It's not a perfect science. And there, like all of us have seen, anybody can get COVID at any time. It's just the reality. You can take great precaution. I know a lot of people that are extremely precautious that have gotten COVID, and it's the reality of it. So we do want to minimize the risk, though.
Same lineup, and how will you use your taxi squad going forward?
Well, I'm not going to comment on the lineup, but the taxi squad going forward, we'll use it as we need to. When COVID hits, we'll have guys come in and be available to play. I've said before, it's kind of a twofold thing. We've got some young players on there that are, spending time getting extra work here in Detroit, which I think is a positive. And two, they got to be ready to play, as Michael Rasmussen was yesterday when he went in. And, if we want to, we can flip guys on and off that taxi squad, but we'll make those decisions as we move day to day.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Next up, Helene St. James, the Detroit Free Press.
Jeff, do you anticipate using Danny DeKeyser tonight? Just the concerns with his back in a back-to-back night. And I noticed he's only credited for like 13 minutes yesterday and didn't play any special teams.
Well, again, I'm not going to comment on the lineup this morning. We're not having a pregame skate. We didn't practice, so no reason to tell everybody our lines and stuff. Danny DeKeyser, we certainly will do what's best for Danny DeKeyser, for the long-term health of Danny DeKeyser and the short-term health of his availability. So we'll make those decisions every single night, and we'll do what's best for Danny DeKeyser.
Just Bobby Ryan said something interesting, a lot of interesting things yesterday. He said he wanted to end the fight as quickly as possible, didn't want to risk sitting with a broken finger or something. I mean, you have in Mantha a player who's missed time engaging in skirmishes. Do you like hearing a veteran say things like that? I mean, just obviously he realizes, Ryan, he's way more important to you guys in the lineup than being sidelined by a potential injury from a fight.
Well, I think being smart is important. I think understanding the situation. I think sometimes tempers boil over, and that is part of hockey. And we certainly want our guys. I love to see the want to win, but being smart about it's important. And obviously, I don't want Bobby out of the lineup after he just missed time out of the lineup. So I think that's a guy that has some veteran savviness to him, and figured that out. That doesn't mean though that once you throw one punch, anything can happen. Once you square off, anything can happen. So, we try to avoid it from some of those guys if we can. Certainly a guy like Mantha, we'd prefer him not fighting, but there is a part of it that's part of the game. And we certainly want to avoid injuries though when we can.
Thanks.
Next up, Ansar Khan from MLive.
Yeah, hi, Jeff. It's just been 3 games, but you've had the luxury of having your 6D, just the consistency of the pairings. something that you really didn't have last year with all the injuries and everything. Is that important to just, especially with the new guys, just building that chemistry and that familiarity? I know it's not always going to be like that, but it has been so far.
Well, I think chemistry matters. So I think that can be important. It doesn't mean that, that's written in stone. Doesn't mean everything stays exactly the same, but I think chemistry does matter. And, guys learn to kind of play off each other. Certainly deep pairings matter. And so, the fact we've been able to so far, I think the group's given us solid efforts every night. I don't think, for the most part, last night we beat ourselves a little bit based on some changes and a couple of poor reads. But other than that, I think the group's done a pretty good job of defending and being efficient.
And also with Christian Juice, do you have any kind of rough time frame of when he might be ready?
I would say he's potential for the weekend in Chicago. That'll give him a few more days to skate. It'll give us Thursday practice. I'm certainly not committing to it. We'll see. I haven't been on the ice with him yet, myself personally. So we'll see where our team's at. We'll see where he looks in practice. If we get any specialty teams where he looks on the power play, ultimately I think he's somebody that can bring an element on the power play, and we're hoping that he can really help us with that.
Thanks.
Next question from Max Bolton with The Athletic.
Hey, Jeff, after a day to kind of think on it, what did you end up thinking of how Michael Rasmussen looked yesterday, all in all?
Well, I thought Michael did some good stuff. I thought he looked solid. I think there's times where, he just has to make sure he's shoulder checking ahead of time so he knows what to do with the puck before he gets it. The speed of the game is obviously fast, and especially when you haven't played for a while. And, but I think he's been solid. So I thought he was solid last night. So, obviously it wasn't like a pure face-off win, but it was a face-off goal. And so that's great. And, I thought overall, he just got to make sure he's playing fast. He's playing fast in the D zone, sprinting to spots, playing fast when he gets the puck. When he does that, he's an effective player.
And then what can you say about kind of the opportunity that he has here? Obviously not in the way that I'm sure he would have liked to have gotten it, but not just to play, but kind of potentially play in different roles over the course of the next however many days.
Well, I think the key is being ready for your opportunity and ready to jump through that window. I just watched the end of a football game the other day with a guy who got an opportunity when another all-star got injured. Next thing you know, he becomes probably the best quarterback of all time, and it's because of being ready to jump through the window of opportunity. So, whether it's that he wanted it or not wanted it, none of that matters. All that matters is you get that opportunity, you got to jump through it. And so, him and I talked about grabbing it. He can't play afraid to make a mistake. He's got to go out there and do what he thinks is right, and then we'll coach him when he gets back to the bench and coach him after games and do those types of things. But he's got to go out there and play with confidence and be ready to grab it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question from Art Regner with DetroitRedWings.com.
Sorry about that. Jeff, real quickly, I want to follow up on what Max asked about Michael. Yesterday afternoon was the first time you've seen him play center since his rookie season at the NHL level. Can you see the improvements in his game at that specific position based on what he went through last year in Grand Rapids and in Austria?
I think he's improving. I think his skating's gotten better, which is important. I think especially when he's fresh in his stride, I think he feels a little more comfortable in the D zone. So that's positive. So I think he's improving. It's just about taking steps in the right direction. And none of this is one giant leap. It's always a bunch of little steps, and you just got to take more positive ones than negative ones. So I think he's improving, Art.
Yeah, and about Bobby Ryan, we've talked about obviously on the ice what he brings, but how about his leadership off the ice? He really seems to have gravitated to being a Detroit Red Wing. How valuable is it to have his presence in that room?
Well, I think he definitely, he chose to come here with his eyes wide open. He knows we had a bad year last year, but he also knows what this organization's about, and he liked, I think, speaking with Dylan Larkin, he liked our young guys. And I think he's really grown to like him since he's been here. He came early to skate because a bunch of the guys were skating, and he came early, and he's really committed himself to trying to be a factor in helping us become a better hockey team. And so, I think when you have leadership like that with guys that are fully committed to grinding through the good and bad times that are ahead of us to keep working towards being a better team, I think it's a great thing. And so, I've been real pleased with his approach. I like him a lot as a person. I think he's in a great spot, and I think he can add a lot from a leadership standpoint.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, Ted Colfin from the Detroit News.
Hey, Jeff, I realize it's not even like a 5-game sample size or anything, but what are you seeing with the Larkin line right now? I think you kind of alluded to yesterday that maybe they're not valuing the puck as much yet. I mean, they got to start doing that. I don't know. What are you seeing with that line right now through these games?
Well, the difficulty in speaking as a line is that they are 3 individuals, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and like every player and every person. And I think in different ways they've had moments of being effective, and in different ways they've had moments that they need to improve on. And ultimately, I think each one of them wants to be a go-to type guy. Sometimes with that, you put too much pressure on yourself. And the thing about the NHL is you're not going to make something happen every shift. Some shifts you just got to be okay with nothing happening, and just you basically get through the shift. It's even, and you move on, and you wait for your opportunities to attack. You wait for your opportunities to strike when you have the opponent in a vulnerable position. And so if you try to force that, you expose yourself, and lots of times negative things happen. So I think they all want to make a huge impact on the team. They all want to make a huge impact on winning. That all comes from a good place. But I think sometimes you just got to, again, take what's given and be ready to strike when you have the opponent vulnerable.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again tonight.